Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2021 documentary Get Back, as filmed by the Beatles and put together and released recently by Peter Jackson. Although I say recently, it's actually a year ago now. I can't believe it's taken me this long to watch it, but I have only just been able to afford, get the violins on the go, just being able to afford the Disney Plus subscription. And it was the first thing that I definitely wanted to watch when I got the subscription. I've been waiting to watch this for a long, long time. Still saving up for the Blu-ray, hoping that I can beg for that for Christmas or save up myself. But yeah, I've made a few notes on my thoughts after watching the three-part. I think there were 2.5 hours to 3 hours each. So yeah, really, really big documentary. One of the things I'll say first of all is I think this kind of edit of the film could only really be released in this day and age, I would say. Back in the 60s when this was first recorded, if they'd have tried to release all the footage at once, I don't think people would have been interested in watching it, certainly not at the cinema. But now you've got all these streaming platforms and you can sort of dip in and dip out of a documentary this size. It's like kind of binge watching a series, and that's exactly how I did it. I watched it about probably an hour a day for the last week, and I, first things first, absolutely loved it. It was so great to see the Beatles behind the scenes and so intimate as they were in this documentary. So I've written down some thoughts. The first thing I would say is that you get from watching the documentary is how dependent the four of them are on each other, what a close unit they are. Even though it's getting towards the end of the band, you can tell it's like that kind of muscle memory that they all just gel. They're all, I think someone once said that they were four corners to a square, and you can definitely tell that. The bit that really stands out for me is when George temporarily leaves the band at the end of the first episode, I think it is, spoilers alert, and listening to them play with each other after that without George, it's this really weird thing. It's like you get so used to how the Beatles sound as a four that take away any one of those sections or those corners, and they just sound like a completely different band. It just doesn't work. It's bizarre. It's like witchcraft. I don't know what it is, but the four of them together make a sound that three or two of them just can't make. They need to have those four corners to the square. So that was really interesting. The other thing I've written here, Paul and John dicking about. Dicking about is a great Northern English term. Basically means messing around. They can hardly finish a tune. They're just like naughty school kids, and you get that real feeling of you hear so much about the rifts between Paul and John, but on here you can definitely see the closeness and how they bounce off each other. They're just like naughty school kids. And yeah, that is something really that you don't get from certainly not from the edited Let It Be original edit. You get the sense that Paul is trying to steer the ship and sometimes does overdo it. You can definitely tell. You can definitely feel the frustration in the others when he tries to tell the others what they should play, especially in George, who you can just tell that this was how kind of things worked at the beginning, but they're becoming much more dependent at this point and not wanting to kind of take direction as easily from each other as they once were. But having said that, they do all contribute to the structure of each song, regardless of who wrote it. And it's fascinating watching songs that are so well known that you kind of take for granted almost, growing from such tiny seeds. So you get to see songs like, certainly songs like Get Back and Don't Let Me Down, I Got a Feeling. You see all these songs bloom and develop from very, very early on with just a few riff ideas, and then they all sort of chuck ideas into the pot. And it definitely is a combined effort, all these songs. And it's amazing to see behind the scenes these songs sort of blossom and grow from nothing, really. It's amazing seeing that creative process that they have. in action, really. Yes, having said that, Paul is trying to steer the ship, and sometimes you feel like that ship needs steering. There is a lot of, like I was saying, a lot of messing about, lots of unstructured. I don't know if it's just the time. I mean, I've been in several bands, and it's always like this, where rehearsals are probably about 10% production and 90% sort of messing around and not getting to the point. So yeah, you can tell that Paul is definitely the one that helps them to get their ideas together. But he is starting to get a bit tired and frustrated. You can tell by the end of putting out ideas, trying to get them to work together, and sometimes it doesn't work. The other thing I put here, Ringo is constantly knackered. But having said that, you can tell he's always ready on a dime, as they say, to give the song exactly what it needs. So at times he's literally leaning back on the wall, looking absolutely shattered. And I suppose if you are the drummer, you've been doing it for hours and hours and hours. It's the most physical instrument in the group. But yeah, on a dime, he'll just switch it out of nowhere and bring that amazing talent of bringing the drum part that is needed for each song, something that Ringo has always been amazing at, playing to the song. He doesn't get enough credit for that. The other thing, and the main thing I get from it, is that yes, they are legends, but at their heart, they are just a great rock and roll band, as Paul would call them. And seeing them here at their most intimate and unedited makes you appreciate them even the more for that. And also, the main thing I take away from this is that within moments of watching it, especially with Peter Jackson's treatment of the film, which is so the footage is so high quality for the time. If you think that this was 1969, so when's that, like 50 years ago? Yeah, nearly 50 years ago. No, more than 50 years ago. Anyway, you do the maths, but yeah, the fact that the quality of the footage is so good, and it really is so good, that you totally become immersed in it. You forget that you're watching a film, which all good films do this. They draw you in to the point where you feel you're actually living the experience yourself. And the fourth wall totally drops away. And for those 2-3 hours per episode, you do feel like you're the fifth Beatle. You really do. You're watching these people at their most raw, unpolished, unedited, and you feel like you're sat in that studio with them, and it's a amazing feeling. So that is my feelings. I got a feeling that is my feeling about the Get Back documentary. It's an incredible watch, definitely worth watching if you're a Beatles fan or just a fan of music in general. And I'd love to hear what you think about the documentary. I'm guessing you've seen it by this point. You're not as late to the party as me. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you again on the next one. Take care.